This is Daf Yerushalmi Yoma Maseches Yoma. The article is V'Dershon and Daf Gimel Amud Aleph. The second line from the top, Masnisa Piri Rabbi Chia Yosef, which is the top line on Yud Amud Aleph in the Vilna. And we should go back a line or two and see that we said the essay. Rabbi Chia by Yosef Amar Mekem Shemasa Yom L'Layla Dayo. Or you, as long as the cure was at the submerged at the beginning of the night, and you get from day to night, it's okay, and it doesn't be submerged in the morning from night to day. No, once you pick it up, for the person who has to kish it in the middle of the night, you have to put it back down in order that on a Shachar it's also submerged. So now we have a brayso who seems to argue Rabbi Chia by Yosef. The Gemara says that in this brayso of Klokas Rabbi Rabbi Shimon. The Kiddush Yom Ragla B'Yom. The Kiddush Yom Ragla during the day, and so it carries into the nighttime. But vice versa, if you had night, you still have to do it the next day, even though you didn't go to sleep in the middle. All that is Divrei Rebbe. Rabbi Shimon Omer, I feel asuk b'avoda. Even you're involved by 3 days straight. The Korban says, why 3 days? Because after 3 days you're going to fall asleep, because you can't go 3 days without sleeping. Once you sleep, that's Hesach Hadas. You need a new Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim. But he's on 3 days. So still, for those 3 days does do new Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim. Shein Lina Posels B'Yadayim. Just going overnight without sleeping doesn't pass Yadayim. Now the Gemara infers, since it's saying that you're involved Avodah Kol Shloisha, that's only the B'Shari Avodas. That for other Avodah, you don't need to, not for Avodah, for left Avodah, so you're still involved, same Avodah, which you started 3 days ago, such as you're still bringing the Murim on top of the Mizbeach, or something like that, that you don't have to do a new Kiddush and Raglayim. But if you start at Chesed, you start the new days Avodas. The new days Avodas are a fresh day, even if you have been serving since yesterday straight, tzarich, then you need a Kiddush and Raglayim. So let's see the Korban aid on this. Seek ben avodas to ask Molayim, tzarich Kiddush. The kasha, the Rabbi Chia Yosef, come on. So the question is, who's Rabbi Chia Yosef hold like? Ik Rabbi, if he holds like Rabbi, Omar Lina Poselas. But Amud Shachar, he says Lina Apostles at Amud Shachar. You can't, you start at night, you can't just go over to the next day. You have to Lina Poselas. But Ikra B'Lezer Shimon, and on the other hand, those B'Lezer Shimon, Afilu Laila ain't so Kiddush. Even for nighttime, you don't need a new Kiddush. You can go over from the day before. So you never need a new Kiddush. Neither from night to the. So according to Rebbe, you do need a new Kiddush every day. Not like we seem to understand. Now we say Rabbi Yosef, who says you need a Kiddush when going from day to night, but not from night to day. You do need in the morning. You do need. So if you kash by it, so kash by you. And according to Eliezer Shimon, you don't even need from night to day, from day to night. I'm sorry, you can go 3 days straight without doing a new Kiddush Yadayim Raglayim. So who's Rabbi Chia Yosef hold like? So the Gemara has answers this question, but the girsa in the Gemara is difficult. The Pnei Moshe says girsa is distorted. So I'm going to go to Pnei Moshe's girsa here. So if you look at Pnei Moshe, for the next few lines, till we get to the words that were Chilfi Omar, actually past that as well. Past that, sorry, till Tamid Rabbi Yochanan. So we're going to go through the until Chilfi Omar, I guess. We're going to go through the girsa in Pnei Moshe. Okay, so let's look at Pnei Moshe. The lines got mixed up in the printed books by mistake. This is what it's supposed to say. Rabbi Chia Yosef Potam Masnisa. Rabbi Chia Yosef learned the brayso as follows: Kiddush Yodav Ragla B'Yom. If you Mekadosh Yadayim Raglayim during the day, ain't so Mekadosh B'Layla. You don't have to do Kiddush at night. B'Shiorei Avodos. And when you're doing the left avodas, by Laila, if you're mekadosh at night, so then you have to be mekadosh during the day. Divrei Rebbe. That's all. That's Rebbe's opinion. Rabbi Lezer Shimon Omer, Shimon says, I feel also about a kol shloisha, even about 3 days, answer kaisha the v'raglav. You don't have to do kish down reglaim. She'en alina posels b'yadayim, because lina doesn't posel by yadayim. Ben b'chilas avoda, ben b'shar avodas, whether it's the beginning of avoda or the end of avoda, doesn't matter. Yochanan Plecha Masnisa. Rabbi Yochanan explains the Mishnah, the Brisa, as follows. Kiddush Yodav Ragla B'Yom. So you do Kiddush Yadayim during the day. Ain't Sorich L'Kad Shambalai. You don't do Kiddush Yadayim Raglaim at night. So it says in parentheses brings down what it says in our Gemara. B'Shor Avodas Abba Tchilas Avodah. And then he says after closing that parentheses Hakasav Kanto Sofrimu. That's a mistake. This is what it has to say. At night, you do have to Mekadosh in the day. Divrei Rebbe. That's all Rebbe's opinion. Lezer Shimon Omer, I feel asuk b'avoda kol shloshim b'avda avoda all 3 days. Ain't so Kaddish Yodar Baglav. You don't do Mekadosh Yodar Baglaim b'shor avodas by the leftover avodas. Beginning avoda, you have to. Ulefi zenicha. According to this, it's good. The kol chai v'chapotin l'maydas spirle. Each one explains the brisa according to that which he holds. Reb Chia bar Yosef, according to Yosef, the first of Lezer Shimon, who explained Lezer Shimon holds the ben b'shar avodas, ben b'chilas avodas, ain't tzorich l'kaddish. Don't do kiddush yadayim b'glaim, neither in the beginning, if you're ending up prior avodas, or even beginning subsequent avodas. Fisha ein alina posels klal b'yadayim. Lina doesn't possible at all b'yadayim. He holds like Lezer Shimon. He said you have to put the kior down between night and day, between day and night. I'm sorry, but not that the lina doesn't possible. We just thought that there's some correlation between psul kiddush and putting the kior down. No, there's no correlation, and you can go 3 days without doing kiddush and it's fine. Again, Chibias and the Farsha Lezer Shimon the Ben B'Shar Avodas B'Chizvah answer Kadosh Fisha Ein Lina Posels Klal B'Yadayim. V'Yus Selech Reb Lezer B'Shimon. B'Yochanan Potar Chesata Mekor. B'Yochanan holds like we initially thought. Lezer B'Shimon Dafka B'Shar Avodas Ein Tzorich L'Kaddish. Only by leftover avodas you don't do Kiddush. But B'Chilas Avodah Tzorich L'Kaddish. But it's Chilas Avodah you have to be Mekadosh, and that's what Chilas Avodah you have to be Mekadosh. That's why. Yochanan holds that that there is a connection, and therefore you have to lower the just like Kiddush Yadayim, you need a new one when you start in the morning fresh. So too you need to lower the kior and submerge it at Amud HaShachar. So again, agree again. Yes, it's true. Sure, but you have to be Mekadosh. And according to him, according to Yochanan, everybody holds b'tchilas avoda. You have to be Mekadosh. And that's what Rabbi Yochanan holds. Reb Chaim adds a little bit of a knech, which is that that since tchilas I'm not sure. I'm not gonna. It's going to confuse things. I'm not going to say. So now we're going to bring down Chilfi, who says that Chilfi Amar Kashem she'en lina posels b'yadayim kach ein halina posels b'kior. Just like the lina doesn't possibly yadayim, and you can go from one day to the next. So too doesn't pass by kior, and you don't have to put it down even at the beginning of the night. From day to night. Yochanan holds you have to do both day to night, night to day. The Chibias held only day to night. Chilvi holds not at all. The cure never has to go down. Because just like Lina doesn't possibly a dying kach in Lina possess cure. So Gemara says, "My sister played Rabbi Chilvi." Our Brisa argues Rabbi Chilvi. Because it says, Kiddush Yodar Ragla of Ein B'Yom Ein Tzorich Kaddish B'Layla, B'Layla Tzorich Kaddish B'Yom, Divrei Rebbe. Okay, you did the Kiddush Raglaim during the day. You don't have to go do a new one during the night. And now you have to do during new one during the day. That's our different Rebbe. Elazar Shimon Omer. I feel Isa Bavada Kosh Shlosh Yomim. Even though avoid all 3 days. And so I got you the Raglav. She'ain Lina poseles biyadayim. Lina never passes biyadayim. Okay, but they're both talking about Lina of your Kiddush Raglaim. And then we have machlekes whether lina is a psul or not a psul. But kior, postelis. It does pasul. They don't talk about the kior. So therefore, your assumption is not a correct assumption, right? Whatever they argue about by lina. And there's by lina yadayim raglayim. But by kior, whatever you need, you need. And you need something. The lina does pasul by the kior. Talmidei Rabbi Yochanan, B'Shem Chilfi Neiv said Hacheni, that they say Neiv Chilfi that Chilfi in fact does hold that there is a difference. Kiddush Raglav V'Chulei Shein Lina Poseles B'Yadayim, right? That he does hold that there's no lina by Yadayim, Habakir Poseles, but by Kir does pasul. Ulevad Miyon L'Adol. But only from day to night, like Reb Chia Bar Yosef. Not like their Rabbi Yochanan held both from day to night and night to day, but like Reb Chia Bar Yosef, that passes from day to night. But the truth is that now we can go back and say clearly that we didn't have to reinterpret the brisa, right? We interpreted the interpretation of the brisa before in order to make out make it work for Reb Chia Bar Yosef and Rabbi Yochanan, and that there's somehow there is a connection between lina of Kiddush Yadayim Raglaim and lina of Kior. But now we're saying they're not necessarily connected at all, right? There could be that there are two separate issues. There's lina by Yadayim Raglaim, which is one thing, and lina by Kior, which is another thing. And I'm saying that there's a pursuit by both, but not necessarily that they're connected. I'm not sure that the Gemara doesn't really go back to readdress that issue, but because there is a pursuit by both. I'm not sure that they're not, in the end, whether we say they're connected and that we can infer anything from the we have to draw parallels from the or make a reconciliation between the machlokes Rabbi Elazar Shimon and machlokes Rabbi Chia Bar Yosef and Rabbi Yochanan. And now we're going to go back to the next issue in our Masechta, in our Mishnah about the pais. In the article, there's actually 2 dots here. There's no 2 dots in the Vilna, but in the article there is 2 dots. Ma bein toch arba amos toch arba kemesh toch arba amos izbech. So the Reb Chaim, based on a manuscript or something, takes out the word bein. So there's just a question. But when you take the word bein and not the expression the same as Korban, it says hani arba amos demastisa hayakai. Im arba amos tachtonis kevesh, when it says God within 4 amos, is it the 4 lower amos of the kevesh? And God, I guess 4 amos up on the ramp. Arba amos hayos, or 4 upper amos hakrovas to God when he's back on top of the ramp. I must see that the Mishnah about. So we bring down the story. Mimad Nina, for that which it says, Ma'aser Shushalayim Shavim Ratzim Alei B'Kevesh. So it says that one of the they were running and one of them got pushed up and broke his leg. So the Amar B'Toch Arba Amos Hizbech. It's the top 4 amos, then 4 amos Hizbech, and that's why he broke his leg when they pushed him off. Amar B'Yosef Rabbi Buddha says in the famous time of B'Chia. Rabbi Chia learned this explicitly in the Brisa, or maybe explicitly in the Mishnah. Kol Koyim Mischaber Toch Arba Amos Hizbech. Anybody came first within the 4 amos of Hizbech Zocha. He acquired the right to do the Trumas Hadeshen. Okay, now we come to the extending of fingers. If everybody was equal, right? Mao heeds biu. What does it mean that the Mishnah said heeds biu? What does that mean? So elaborate. So till etzba, to extend a finger. Or till achas, they extend 1 finger. Monilo, we count it. Shtayim, 2 fingers. Monilo, we count it. Sholosh ein monilo. If it extends 3 fingers, then we don't count it. What does it mean we don't count it? We don't count him. We don't count for him. What does it mean we don't count for him? How a monim? Kol iko a monilo esay seira. So he says actually It's a question. Call Ikrei Moilo, do we not count him at all because he extended too many fingers? We find him and we don't count it all. Or Esei Seiro. Or or we don't count the extra one. Well, it doesn't answer the question. But this we know. Barba. If one guy extends 4 fingers out, then Hamuna Makos Bakia. The person in charge hits him with a rope. It says it's like a rope extending from a stick kiritzua, like a whip. It's which basically uses the flag. It's like a cat of nine tails, I think it's called, where the end is split up into little strips. So you put out 4 fingers, then you're really a Ramoy, you really wanted to cheat on this pais and this count, so therefore we beat you, and the bottle of pais, then you gotta, assuming he gets kicked out, not just flogged, but then whatever count you started, you have to cancel it and start from scratch. Okay, so I think the 4 fingers are about now were these 4 fingers. And then we say also no thumbs, period. Right? Because the people who were going to cheat. So they don't say from whom the girl would start in the Beis HaMikdash, from whom this count would start. I guess it was not announced. Maybe it's not Derech Eretz. The article has a reason for it. No, actually, Korban does give a reason. It's on the flip side of the page in the middle, so I didn't notice it. He says, "V'lo amar b'shem mi maskil." Doesn't say by name from whom he's speaking. Shoner ki bizayin shar kohanim. I guess it was going to be bizayin. I guess it was it sounds like a little bit of the other way around. It's overly respectful or too much of a covet for somebody's name to be mentioned by Beis HaMikdash just randomly like that. So therefore they wouldn't mention a name. Rather, what they would do is going with Mamuna, the person in charge. Oya magbiyah mitznefto shachamim. He would lift up the hat of one of them. They would say they would know shemen pais matzil. So they would they would know that the pais started from him. Okay. So maybe let's be suspect that he started from this guy because he knows where he wants to end. He wants to end with his friend or relative. So the one says, "Kamin kuvlain hayuosim." What does it mean, kuvlain? So the Korban Eidah says, "Kamin shalsheles," because they would make a chain. So somehow they wouldn't be able to know the count, to know where to end. Now maybe gul saviv saviv, or else it means in a circle. Kama pa'amim hayuomdim, like a spiral. Not the she'ir shama skumin yanon achis prem achsacha. So you couldn't tell. There was one circle. So then you could tell who was who, but if it's a spiral, so then you can't tell what the ultimate number is going to be. So therefore, that would take away the concern that he might be trying to rig the count. Okay, so now Gemara asks how we proceed in the count. So Ketzah Pais Mahalech, how the Pais will progress. Liminly small, to go to the right or to the left. In other words, this way or that way. So the Gemara says, Amar Bibun Barchir, Bun said, Mimad the time that which on Misha Zacha B'Teres, somebody who was merited doing Teres, Amar Lezesh Yamino, says the one on his right, of Asl Machta. Okay, you come and join me for the Machta. In other words, you help me, assist me in the procedure. Hada Amara teach us Liyamin HaPais Malach, that the Pais will go to the right. So he's saying that it would be the next, kind of like the guy was passed over. He's passed over. He's not going to get it. The guy next to the guy who got it, he's going to get it. But then the Gemara says the exact opposite. The Gemara says that Talmudid Rabbi Yonah B'Shem Rabbi Chilfi said. It's interesting. It's called Chilfi. Some Rabbi Chilfi. I think it's the same person. He's called Ilfa, and I don't think he actually had smicha. So, but could be there was 2 Ilfas, Ilfa and Rabbi Ilfa. So. He says, small pais malach. No, fakir, it went to the left. And this guy who got the machta was one of the guys who was passed over. And why does he get it? So the, again, small pais malach, hazocha zocha, liyamin. So the one who's zoche is zoche to the one to his right, one who just passed over. A mutav she's kelamisha avar pai shnei pamim, because you have to be mizaka to a person to whom the pais passed over 2 times. Mizeshlo avar pais pam achas, from the one rather than the one over only passed 1 time. And Pei Moshe explains this in length, and so I think so it's more elaborate than the Korban Eidah. So let's say the Pnei Moshe. He says, "L'smol pais ma'acha zoch v'chomer l'olam l'smosha zeh shitchilu bo." So it's the left the person to start with. Ha'minyan ma'ach, you go in order. V'hazoich b'machta, and the person zoich b'machta acharei hazoich b'teres. He's behind the person zoich b'teres. So I'm the Aminu, who's standing to the right. I'm sorry. Hazoich b'machta acharei hazoich b'teres. So I'm the who zoich. Right. The time of why mutar she's kevachuli. Shari la'olam etzarich she'yosif ha'mamuna lomar ha'minyan mimashi ha'konim sham. So I don't think Pnei Moshe learns like Korban before there was a spiral, so you couldn't tell the numbers. It was this, maybe it was, but it's this. What did he say? It was a spiral? Actually, no. He just said there was a round. But then the coin would have to take pick a number which is much greater than the amount of coin were there. That's how it worked. And he said that. Says the Shavei Omar Yatzorch L'Shostif Hamamuna Omar Minyan Mimashu Konim Sham. You have to the greater number than Mount Konim there. They shloidu miyachla mina, so they wouldn't know by whom the number would stop, the count would stop. So shloisif kefo maminyan minyan Konim, and it should be double, exactly double the amount of Konim. The MK know that Mishiachla Minyan, because they don't know exactly where it ends. Most of Pachas Mea Kefo, they adds less than twice, the double. Such as Sheyusham Shlosh Kwanim to 30 Kwanim, but base of Shishal Hayom, in that base of that day's now the Kwanim were assembled. Most of the Minyan, he adds to the count for Omer Abarma Chamishim, he adds 40, 50. He says Shemona Balach is small, so when he starts kind to the left, Mimishi Schilbo Omdim, the Yamin HaZoche, from that, if it goes towards the left from the one he starts, the ones to the right of the person who won the lottery, often they mean they were counted twice. B'miyat Tosefes, in the additional amount, she Asura Asrim, which are 10 and 20, Shechaza Min Aleim, where the count went over them again. Achibal El Ozoch, they'll get to the person who acquired it, who won. The call a boat where it ended. The only smaller zocha, the people on the left of the person who zocha, they only had only went over them 1 time, shominyan shloshim, because only part of the first 30. Therefore, therefore one which is him by to his right, mizako, so by machta he bestows upon him the right to do the machta, shusamachlo, because he's next to him, va'over min love shtei. And the meaning passed over twice, so he's the one who gets it. Okay, so he says that again, you go to the left, and then the person to the right of this person is the one who got who upon the pious passed twice, so therefore he gets it. So there's a different story from the morning in our Mishnah, a much more tragic story. The story is, he got up, they had a race and got up to the top of his back. So also, but on the Bavli, his friend took a knife and took a believer and stabbed in the heart. Rabbi Tzadok stood al Malas Ulam on the step to Glin to Ulam. Shimuni Achi, listen to me, brethren. Basically, saw the house of Israel. See, it says, Kimotzei Chalol, if you find a casualty, a corpse, a parshim Elarufa, your elders and your judges go out of measure. Where should we measure? Measure from the Heichal or from Nazoros. Of course, they is being allegorical. The point is that it's a great tragedy. Who is responsible for this? In other words, it's not just the person who was the murderer, but all of Am Yisrael bears responsibility to have a situation that this happened, much like the Sanhedrin. Even though they didn't kill the person, they bear responsibility. We all bear responsibility, all of us, even those who assembled the Beis HaMikdash today. So the Shalom Kama Bachim, they all started crying. While they were involved in their crying, Nichnas Avishol Sotinok, the father of this young lad who had been killed, Amalem said, Ani kaparaschem, I am your atonement. Adayin atinuk mefarper. The child is still expiring. He's still fluttering, literally. In other words, he's not quite dead yet. And Veloni Mesa Sakin. And the knife was not come tummy, because the knife didn't come in contact with the dead body. This evidently was a knife which is used for avodah, and the knife is still tore. Melamed, and this teaches us, says Gemara, with very, very great censure. That these Kohanim were more concerned with the tumah and tara of the kalim than with the shfichus damim, and that was a horrible, horrible thing. And that, I believe, brings us to the top of the next Amud, so we can stop here. So I'll point out the historical point that the article makes, which is that Tzaddik was, of course, the one who fasted 40 years before the Churban, so he lived at the end of the time of the period by Sheni, and certainly the time because Sanhedrin, went to the Golos 40 years before the Churban, around the time that Tzaddik started fasting, because they were no longer capable of judging Shfichus Damim. There was too much murder. So it was a time when death had become less important to them than Tumas Kalim, which is what the Gemara is bringing down here. Okay, that's it.